like, that's not what writing is about. Like, why are you saying it sucks? The best characters are the worst people. And I can go on and on. Normal stories don't act like that. I think it's very, very stupid. Like, I was in that relationship when I did NaNoWriMo, and keeping a word count goal is toxic. So this hot take is quite like harsh. Hey really besties, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well. Today I'm so excited to give you the tea. I'm going to be giving you some of my writing hot takes that I think are a little bit controversial. I'm really excited to just explain them, talk through just some writer things, and I think this is just such a fun video just to kind of like drink some tea too. So if you want, go ahead and get some tea. Make sure you also comment down below some of your controversial opinions about writing in general. However, before we get into the video, I do want to tell you guys all about my glasses. Do you like my glasses, besties? Because this video is sponsored by Vooglam. Vooglam is an amazing company that creates cool lenses in order to spice up your style and just add a little pizzazz to your everyday life. I love Vooglam because honestly their lenses are so crazy. I've never seen such variety of such pop and just such like excitement. For some reason I always love to compliment people on their glasses. I don't use prescription glasses, so these are just kind of like clear glasses, just make me have some style. I actually got 4 different pairs, but I have to say that my favorite are the ones that I am wearing right now, and also these ones that I got. They're quite crazy, but they're just so adorable. They remind me of Hello Kitty. Here is the lens that is also one of my favorites. I'm gonna pop it on right now for you guys. I think it just fits my aesthetic of my room as well. But they're just so crazy. It's giving me like fancy princess Edna vibes. All that mix. It just adds such excitement to your life. Like, are you kidding me? I feel like I'm a different character. I feel like I can spill some tea, as I will be doing in this video. But can you see the cute little stars? These are so cute. I think I really love how this doesn't have any sort of rim, so it's kind of also nicer to look through. It fits really well on my face. It's just like so cool and so cute. And I love these sides as well. As you can see, it has a little Vooglam little icon there. Of course, as for the one, you can kind of see my vibe mostly. I love this one that I've been wearing at the start of the video, which is kind of a cream, but it has some sort of like tortoiseshell design also at the back. I especially love how the ends are kind of rubber, so it really fits my face really well. It's not too heavy. This one's a little bit heavier than this one, so I like how this one's a lot more chill, a lot more nice. And I truly love this sort of shape. It's not too round. This gives me more preppy vibes, more like I'm gonna go to study law vibes, if that makes sense. These next 2 are a little bit crazy. I don't know if it's too much my style, but if you're into these sort of really boom crazy glasses, and Vooglam is like the place to go. But this one I don't really like it on my face. It is a bit wider, so it doesn't fit as well. I think it's just because it's so poppy. Makes me look a little bit crazy, but I got them because look how cool the design is. Like, it's so trippy as well, which I kind of do like. If you're into these glasses, they're really cool. I wish I could rock this, but I don't know if it's for me, to be honest. And then lastly, I have these ones, which are really cute. I love these in particular because of the colors. Like, I've never seen a color combo like this before. I like how the ends are kind of a bold black. It's giving designer. It's giving like I go to Paris for like the weekend. But like, this is like so chic. I think it will match a lot of my brown aesthetic, but it also has some pop of color, which I think is really cute as well. But truly, Vooglam has like so many different lenses on their website, so I'm sure you guys can find one for you, one that just pops out and that you can wear with all your cool outfits. Their lenses are also quite inexpensive, so if you're looking for a cheaper option, I definitely also recommend Vooglam, because some lenses on the market are like so expensive, when Vooglam literally makes the prettiest, kind of coolest lenses ever that I've seen on the internet, and also for a really great price. I really encourage you guys to check out Vooglam today, and especially to use my code here for 15% off. Make sure you guys go use this code on your next purchase. And yeah, check out the link in the description if you guys want to check out and shop Vooglam glasses today. But thank you so much, Vooglam, for sponsoring today's video and gifting me these amazing cute glasses. But anyways, let's go ahead and get onto the tea and see one of my writer hot takes. Let's go. Okay, so my first writer hot take is that you cannot pantser your book the whole way. You cannot pantser a novel well. I don't think I've ever pantsered a book. I think it's very, very stupid to try to pantser a book without any plot. If you have pantsered a book, either you're insane and an outlier, which is a cool thing, okay, or you are lying. There is a book, I don't know if you guys know Project BB, which is a sort of fantasy Robin Hood retelling, and that one I pantsered literally 75k, but I couldn't finish it because I simply had no idea how to finish it. What I kind of find is that pantsering, at least to that whole extent, will just simply get you confused and very frustrated with yourself in the story. And this of course is if you haven't plotted at all, and yeah, that's just what happens all the time. If you guys don't know, I have like a sort of plotting process that I use all the time, and that kind of does include plotting my book through pantsering, but I actually plan sort of scenes and settings before that. So this hot take is quite like harsh, and it basically says that pantsering is not good, but that does depend on when you're pantsering and to what extent you have a background of your story and where you want it to go, where you want it to end, and it doesn't have to be exact, but I honestly believe you cannot pantser a whole book. I'm not saying I'm a plotter. I don't say that as a plotter. I say that as a plantster, okay? But that's just what I think, okay? That's what I think. Next one I feel so strongly about, and I think especially younger writers or writers who are just beginning writing their novels, this is what you need to hear, and that is to make sure to understand that word count does not matter. I think with NaNoWriMo and stuff like that, sort of writing challenges can become very toxic in a way, and I would go as far to say that like word count and keeping a word count goal is toxic. I understand it's a way to go forward, but my view as like a hippie writer, I sometimes call myself as, is just like that's not what writing is about. You guys probably already know my opinions about kind of what I think, yeah, about the sort of scientificness of writing and how I think writing should just come freely. So if you kind of put a word count goal, especially with like keeping in a genre or keeping in like 50k or 100k, and that goes for also cutting down words as well, like having word count goals is just like, no. Write your story. Your story shouldn't be restricted to a number. Like numbers are completely opposite to writing. Like my boyfriend, he does engineering and he couldn't be more opposite than me because the language is different. I don't know, I just really believe that, especially if you're a young writer and someone who is getting into writing, you should not feel pressured to write a certain word count goal a day. I think it's more important instead to maybe focus on writing for an hour a day or something like that. I think that's a lot more rewarding and a lot more nicer to have instead of like a word count goal, because it's just like also unpractical when you think about it. Like if you're writing for a little bit and you hit your word count goal of like 200, but you just like stop mid-sentence because you already hit that, like it can get to that relationship. Like I was in that relationship when I did NaNoWriMo, where I was not even liking the story anymore. I was just writing it for the sake of the goal, not for the sake of the story. That's lays. Okay, that's one of my, another hot take. Next up, not all first drafts have to suck. I'll say that again. Not all first drafts have to suck, because I see as a tip or as like a thing everywhere that your first draft will suck. Your first draft will be the worst thing you've ever written in the whole entire world. And I remember hearing that, especially like as a younger writer, and I'm just like, I'm proud of my first draft, okay? I'm proud of it. Like, why are you saying it sucks? And I think you can have a really good, strong first draft if you plot and plan accordingly, and plot, you know, in a way that you know your book and your story. The way that I plot my books and actually write my books, it's kind of, it's not even how I, like, it's not even a good draft. Like I didn't pantser it, but I pantsered it. I planted my book. And although it's like not perfect, it's not terrible either. So I just really hate that tip and that sort of like idea. Like some first drafts are really, really good. In terms of self-editing, it can still also be a really great way to get your book into something that is good first time around. It doesn't have to go through millions of edits. It doesn't have to go through millions of drafts. You can write a good novel on the whim, which I understand kind of goes into conflict with my first hot take, but you guys get the distinction, I hope. My next hot take does also have to do a bit with the scientific side, and I don't like the scientific side of writing too much because I'm a hippie writer, but this hot take has to do with not needing to have an act structure within your book, because to me writing and stories, they're not restricted to a template. They're not restricted to this like rising action, full of action after the climax. Like normal stories don't act like that. Like of course it needs to have a beginning and an ending, it needs to have a closing, but that closing doesn't need to be the end of the story. Do you understand what I mean? You can end it abruptly, you can end it in a way that has maybe no resolution, maybe it just ends on a cliffhanger, and that's just what the story is. I think knowing when your story comes to a natural close is really important. In the book I'm writing, Ghost Side, that's going to be my debut novel, which is very exciting. I feel the book ends quite abruptly and quite in a way that I didn't expect, but as soon as I wrote it and I knew this was going to be the end, I'm like, that makes so much sense for the story, because that's the little capture, that's the little chapter, that's the little moment in this character's life that needs to be told. Nothing more, nothing less. And I think people get so pressured about tearing their story up, or kind of, I don't know, like stretching it to incorporate more things, or like starting from the very beginning. You can just start at the end. You can start wherever you want. Just depends what story you want to tell and what the story wants to tell itself. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm just going crazy. That's one of my hot tips that I think. Another hot take I have is that you do not need to like your characters. I personally believe the best characters are the worst people, and I think it's really funny. I adore my characters, of course, but my most compelling characters that are mostly the main characters of my books, I really hate, because I just don't get along with them. And I think that's a good thing, if you know what I mean, because if you get along too much with your characters, they're either too much like you or they're too likable, and that's not really realistic in my opinion. I don't think I'm a very likable person sometimes to some people, and I think every human has its flaws, and every human, you know, it depends on what sort of story you're taking and what angle you're looking at your character within, your voice within the story. But I think if you know your character well, you shouldn't like them too much, and yeah, that's my opinion. I don't know, it doesn't have to be every character, you don't have to hate all of your characters, but just hate a little of them maybe. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I think that's important. So sorry about my characters. The next tip I have, which slays, is that you don't need to publish a book to be an author. If you look at the definition of author, it is literally being the owner of creating something. And I think people put author, like, especially, also another hot take is, of course, you don't have to be a traditionally published author to be a published author. Self-publishing is just as prestigious in my opinion. I think it's really important to know that if you write, you are a writer. If you write, you're an author. And being published is not indicative of if you've gone down the traditional route or the self-publishing route. So I think when it comes to labels, don't be afraid to name yourself an author or a writer, because that's what you are. If you've written a book or haven't, you're still an author of that written or unwritten book. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. The last hot take I have, which actually I realize is kind of a little bit controversial. Not really, maybe you guys are sadists like me and agree, but I think that sad stories are the best stories in my opinion, or sad endings are the best endings. I adore sad endings. I adore books that just like break me, because that's what books are for. I'm kidding. It is also maybe because, I don't know, being the author, I don't know, in your mind, it's a bizarre thing. Like as a writer, you know how your book ends, but you don't care that like someone dies or like it's just a really depressing ending, because you know that you can just change it eventually. So I haven't published a book, but I guess when I do, that's when I'm going to realize I can actually change it. So maybe that's also something that's going around with me in my mind. But truly, my favorite stories, my favorite movies are really sad. Think of The Dead Poets Society as an example of a movie. That is the most depressing ending in the world, but without that ending, I would not like the book or the movie, for example. Or even with The Trial by Franz Kafka, that ending is very abrupt. I mean, he didn't actually write it, his friend wrote it because Kafka ended up dying before he could finish the book. But still, it makes sense with the story, and the sad, especially abrupt endings in a lot of stories actually capture me. If you have read or watched The Dead Poets Society, if you have read The Trial by Franz Kafka, you'll understand exactly what I mean with this abrupt, bitter, sad ending that just leaves you like very disappointed and like it slaps you back to reality. Maybe that's just personal opinion, but I think they are very big wake-up call, and kind of just like brings me back to reality that like, yeah, this was a huge story, but then again, like this is the reality, and this could happen, you know what I mean? Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but that is all of my hot takes. Barely had time to drink my tea, but I hope you guys had fun. Definitely comment down below your favorite hot take and let me know yours below. But I love you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely check out Vooglam's glasses down below. Get a pair for yourself and use my code as well if you want. I really do encourage you guys to check out Vooglam, and thank you again for sponsoring today's video. But anyways, yeah, I love you guys and I hope to see you in my next writing video. Bye bye. And also, if you like me chatting and ranting and being just a chatterbug, go follow and listen to my Spotify podcast, because I have a writing podcast. I come out with an episode every week, every Wednesday. So if you want to have a good time halfway through the week, want to chill down, relax, come listen to my podcast, and yeah, we can have some fun over there. But I love you and I hope to see you in my next writing video. Bye everyone.